Hello, class. Welcome to another instrument exploratory with Mr. Moffat. The instrument we're going to focus today on is the saxophone. The saxophone is a woodwind instrument, and taking a closer look at it, it has 23 different keys. The saxophone, as I said, is a member of the woodwind family, although it's made of metal. In the metal it's made of is brass. So when it was invented to be kind of a hybrid instrument to bridge the two families. It didn't quite take to the brass family, so it's considered a woodwind to this day, and that's primarily because of the mouthpiece. As you can see, the mouthpiece of a saxophone has a reed on it, which is a thin piece of wood. It has a metal ring holding it on called a ligature, and the reed is what vibrates to produce the tone. So this is very different than brass instruments where you have a metal circular mouthpiece and your lips vibrate to produce a tone. To produce a sound on the saxophone, you place your teeth on top of the mouthpiece and you curve your lip over your bottom teeth, and then you just add air. Now this is not the complete saxophone, obviously. This is just the neck. The saxophone is in three main parts. We have first the mouthpiece here, which also has a reed and a ligature on it, but it's one kind of main unit. The second part is the neck, and we place the mouthpiece on the neck like so. The third part is the body of the instrument, which is this part here. It's all the main stuff. And we twist the neck on like so. And there's a little screw we just turn. And then we have the complete saxophone. Do you guys want to hear how it sounds? Okay, I guess that's a yes. Here we go. This is a famous jazz tune written by an alto saxophonist named Paul Desmond. It's called Take 5. So this will give you a chance to hear the alto saxophone. As I stated earlier, this is an alto saxophone, which just means it's a certain size and shape and it plays in a specific key. There are 7 common saxophone designs. They range from a very small sopranino saxophone, which, believe it or not, is about the size of a recorder, just slightly larger. And they go all the way down to a contrabass saxophone, which is bigger than a person. It's really humongous. Now, there are 3 main saxophones you might hear in a school band. The alto saxophone, which is the most common, and if you choose to play saxophone in school band, this would be the one you would start with because it's a good size. It's not too big, it's not too small. The other 2 are the tenor saxophone and the baritone saxophone. These get progressively larger and lower in pitch, but they work the same way. They have the same system of keys. They have the same type of a reed and a mouthpiece, and you produce the tone in the same way. Everything's just slightly larger with those bigger saxophones. Now, all these instruments were invented hundreds and sometimes thousands of years ago. The saxophone, however, is the youngest of all the wind instruments. It's only about 170 years old. That seems really old, I know, but for an instrument, it's extremely young. It was invented in the 1840s by a guy named Adolf Sax, so he named it after himself. Now, it's, as we said, it's the only woodwind instrument that is made out of brass. Remember, this doesn't mean it's in the brass family. It's still considered a woodwind instrument. And the saxophone, little trivia, was my first instrument when I was in grade school. Back in 5th grade, I had the chance to join the band, and I chose the saxophone. I didn't know if I would like it that much, but I ended up really liking it a lot, and I've been playing it ever since. Now, you're going to hear a few clips of some saxophone players. I'm going to start with, actually me, playing a performance I just did a couple weeks ago at my local church, and you might recognize this tune. It's actually a pretty famous tune called Careless Whisper.
Let's hear it. Careless Love.
You enjoyed that clip. I forgot to mention I was playing a different model saxophone than the one I've been using here in this asynchronous lesson. That was a tenor saxophone, so it's slightly larger and slightly lower pitched than the alto saxophone. We're going to move on to the second clip. This is also a band that I play in called Soul Vaccination, and this is a big tenor saxophone solo I had to play for one of our recording sessions. So hopefully you enjoy this next clip. That was a really fun solo to work on. I spent a couple days working on that solo, and then I went into the studio downtown with my good friend Danye, who's a professional drummer, and we put it together in his music studio. One more thing about the saxophone, the hand position, believe it or not, is very similar to a recorder, even though it doesn't look anything like a recorder if you look at the two side by side. My left hand goes on top, just like a recorder does. And in fact, the fingerings are very similar. This is a B, this is an A, this is a G, just like on recorder. And then if we come down here, this is an F, this is an E, this is a D, just like on recorder. It's a bit heavier than the recorder and a bit more awkward because there's more keys, which is why I have a neck strap here. The neck strap alleviates the weight, and it lets me use my fingers more fluently, more efficiently, without having to hold the weight of the instrument up while I'm playing it. So there we have it. There's our lesson on the saxophone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope if you think you like the saxophone and you're curious about it, you give it a try in the Comarch Band, because we would love to have you. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.